Hello, it's Tishy and me. I just think it's so funny that she really wants to be out here when I do my video. I don't know, maybe she's just got a little ham bone in her or something, but she just makes such a fuss until I put her on my lap so we can do our evening book study on Rise of the False Gods, Transformation through Illumination. Kind of exciting, isn't it? Okay, so just a note, if this is your first time, you can get the whole video series on YouTube by going to Rise of the False Gods, Alicia Leslie, and there it will be. Do feel free to do questions, comments, and if I don't see them during the video, which I usually don't, I will see them afterward. If I do see them during the video, I will comment. So we're going to get started. I don't know. Tish will probably make a fuss after I start reading because the book is in her way. All right. So, okay. I've been saying this a lot lately, but we're in difficult times. And so this is going to be at least a 2-night chapter. I wish it could be sooner. And it's probably going to be maybe a little uncomfortable and maybe a little confusing because much has come to light since I wrote this chapter early in 2018. So a lot has happened. And so you're probably going to be saying, what is she talking about? So tonight's chapter is on, oh, I don't like that. That's tilted too far the wrong way. Okay. Still the wrong way. I'm on my computer again because all my batteries were gone today. I don't know what the deal is. Martians sucking my energy. All right. Got to make some kind of levity because this is one of those nights. And I hope you can ride it out with me and try to stay positive. Staying positive is very important. So this is called Autopsy on the Election, the 2016 election. Okay. An autopsy in the physical sense, and I'm on page 146 at the bottom of the page if you're following along in the book. An autopsy in the physical sense is the examination of a body after death to determine the cause. A pathologist performs autopsies. Concerning life events, it's examining the event after the fact. As stated earlier, I am not an expert in the political realm. My area is metaphysics. And I'd like to share my interpretation through a metaphysical perspective. Because, the metaphysics are about cause. And if we want to change the effects of what we're experiencing, we must get to cause. I hope I made that very clear in the previous 2 evenings of discussion or commentary, whatever. Okay. So I'm sharing my interpretation from a metaphysical perspective. I have studied, practiced, and taught metaphysics for, it says almost 30 years here. It's been over 30 years now. And probably even earlier because, my path to ministry came through the exploration of causes and effects and how things work that I did for years. So, this is nothing new to me. It just became more and more clear as I studied the unity principles. So, now a pathologist performing an autopsy must be impartial, doing the work with no preconceived assumptions. If they're only looking for one thing, they're not going to be able to see other things that might clearly affect the condition that they're looking for. Metaphysicians also need to be impartial in their examination. A pathologist must know what evidence they need to determine cause. The metaphysician looks for evidence, signs, and potential causes to validate and verify the effects. The primary principle, do you want to come up here? I'm not going to bed now. You can come up here. You want to come up here? Okay, come on. Come on, you really can't be obnoxious. We're trying to do a little book study here. This isn't Tishy time. She thinks it's Tishy time. Okay, so we're looking at the cause, so we can stop sending out the cause that's going to lead to the effects. The primary principle of metaphysics states everything has its origin in mind. And that's the truth. Where the mind goes, energy flows, and manifestation follows. Metaphysical interpretation works in two directions. One is from cause to effect, and the other is from effect to cause. So you got to work frontwards and backwards when you're working with metaphysics. In the case of the current state of affairs, for America, we need to go back to Adam and Eve. This was the start of the self before whole consciousness. It is the beginning of self-awareness. Only it was a self-awareness viewed from the human perspective, not the higher spiritual perspective. The more we focus on our personal wants and perceived needs, the less we are able to consider what others need. See, the core about Adam and Eve, about that what they're metaphysically interpreted story is when they wanted to be like God, although they were not God. They were kind of trying to steal spiritual power that they had not earned. And that is the story of humankind. It's the story of each one of us. We've talked before about how a baby, you can look in their eyes and see the wisdom. They can see the past. They can see the glimmers of remembrances of before they came, when they've been here before maybe. They see a whole different perspective. And then as they are on planet Earth for a while, they start to become impressed by it, or affected by it, influenced by it is the right word. So they stop realizing that they are but a part of a greater whole, and they have become thinking they're an individual. They forgot that we are interdependent. If you haven't yet read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, I strongly urge you to. You can find it on Google in about 5 seconds. Take the time to read it, and you will have a greater understanding of what the intention of our founding fathers was. Are they perfect? No, because we're not perfect. They were developed by human beings stressing to be looking out for the good of the whole. That's the whole thing. It's looking out for the good of the whole. Just like when we were younger, we made mistakes that we don't make now because we've matured. So I think one of the things that has happened is we do not regularly review in our own lives our personal values and what our beliefs are, and put them to the test, as well as the greater whole and how we impact that greater whole, which we do for better or for worse. That's very important. It's inspiring to read the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. They are so misinterpreted and abused in these days. When you read, just read it, okay? If you want to be an agent of positive change in the world, read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and see what you might change, right? Be active. It is a government of, by, and for the people. And as times change, people change. We should be on our spiritual path. We should be becoming more spiritually enlightened and evolved. It's not easy because force of gravity makes it much easier to fall down than to rise up. But our goal in being here is to become strong and rise up. Okay, looking at the self-interest and partisanship in the 2016 election, which is proving to be divisive and tainted, it would appear that we have drifted far from those of our founding fathers. And that's the truth. And we have taken an absolute nosedive in the past 4 years. The divisions are deep and painful. And if we want them to be gone, it is going to take work. You know, everyone's saying, well, you know, when Biden gets in, when Biden gets in, look, this is not going to be like the opening and closing of a door. This is a process that we all have to grow through, okay? We're still going to be challenged. We are way off base. It's going to take a long and bumpy journey to correct our mistakes. And none of us, because we are all a part of a greater whole, none of us is totally free. We are mutually accountable and collectively responsible. You know, the song just popped into my head. I don't remember if it was, Cheryl, you're going to know this, Joan Baez or Joni Mitchell. Freedom's just another word for nothing else to lose. We got a lot to lose, folks, and we got a lot of good to gain, but we must stand for what we believe in peace, speak our truth in love. Not happening right now. All right. Okay, again, I keep saying it because I want you to know that I'm not coming from an arrogant opinion. I'm coming from my deepest held beliefs that did not come out of the sky. First of all, they were in my soul, in my very spirit when I began to exist, whenever that was, and explored and put to the test. Our faith needs to be put to the test from time to time. That's how we develop spiritual mastery. Want to be a master? You don't get to be a master. And I say that in the highest meaning, the master over anything that is not our highest good and the highest good of all. We are mutually accountable and collectively responsible. And united we stand, divided we fall. And we have fallen. And it is ours to get up and start putting things back together. I know it looks like an overwhelming task, but it's not. Okay. All right, so now we get to, okay, here we go. It would appear that we've drifted far from those of our founding fathers. As all white landowners, they may not have reflected the people and were not perfect, but presented a positive plan, including life, liberty, and happiness as an inalienable rights for all people given to them by the Creator. All people. As these words are being written right now, those exact ideals are in jeopardy. Usually we fight for the expression of our rights. Today we are fighting to maintain them. Racism is raging in our country. White supremacy, which is just an illusion in the mind of those who can think of such a concept, it's just not so. All God's children are equal. All God's creation is equal. And all God's creation deserves life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, now comes the disclaimer. Okay, this is another place that might get dicey for some of you. As I've said before, I don't claim to be an expert in politics. Here I go again. But well-versed in metaphysics. And this is about metaphysics. This is not personal. It's principle. It is not personal. It is principle. It is about universal principles of truth through which manifestation occurs, for better or worse, depending on our level of consciousness. Okay. I have done my very best research. All claims, yet without a doubt, my opinions, fueled by my passion, will emerge. You may not agree with my opinions. They are here for your consideration, not for debate. I pray you will read through, though, keep or follow along in our book study, whether you agree or not. Consider the possibility there is merit in my words. I did not take this lightly in writing it. I had no ego in it. What is in this book is a passion for all of us, for you. Whether you love me, whether you hate me, I don't care. I love you anyway, and I am looking out for the highest good of all. That is what my passion is. That is what fuels me, and that's what I was writing. Whether you agree with it or not, all I ask is you consider the possibility that what I'm saying has merit. Okay. Most importantly, I invite you to research the things you do not agree with. With the internet, well-sourced information is readily and quickly available. You know, God said, "Prove thou me now," over and over. Go ahead. Prove it. Put it to the test. Put what I'm sharing with you to the test. In the exploration of your past, the experience of your current experiences, and what you want to experience in the future. Confirmation of Russian interference to influence the election did not break until February 2018. That was 2 years after more than 2 years after the election. It was too late to cry foul, but we did cry foul, and we put our information to the test and produced results. Now, the investigations were done both in the Democratic and the Republican sectors, both the House and the Senate. So this was thoroughly explored, and I believe the Senate investigation only came out this year, but they also confirmed Russian involvement. This is validated and verified. Okay. The minds of voters had been manipulated. The election tainted. Negative emotions stirred up with inflammatory news and Facebook posts, and now social media posts, during the campaigns that permeated minds. It sank into minds and could not be extracted. The toxins were planted by human trolls, which are individuals that purposely spread disinformation, misinformation, fake news, etc. They were then replicated and spread through bots, which are robotic programs that spread them far and wide. Algorithms made sure that the people that were most susceptible to them, and this is new findings since then, and made sure the people that were looking at them and that tended to visit those sites were flooded with this misinformation and disinformation. And without using critical thinking in order to make their decisions and common sense, a cult was developed. It is very clear. I dare you. Go online after we're done today. Go online and look up the cult of personality and look up cult and Donald Trump. And you are going to see that that is the cult that developed and is trying to take power now. It didn't happen overnight. It happened a long time, took a long time, and it will continue. Okay. There appears to be a question as of this date whether there was a collaboration from American candidates and their staff. Evidence uncovered so far does appear to point to that. The result of interference influenced the outcome of the election through mental manipulation and cyber warfare. Since then, they had the Mueller report, which came out and pointed to 10 specific incidences of Donald Trump's involvement in the knowledge of an involvement in the misinformation, disinformation, and awareness that Russia was, in fact, for lack of better words, messing in our elections. Okay, so that is, without question, evidence presented. And that evidence was rejected, despite the fact it was actual verifiable evidence. It was just, no. And so when it came to the impeachment, even though it was admitted and Donald Trump was impeached by the House, he was let go by the Senate, despite facts that he was involved. Okay, what was the utter failure of our electoral process? I see it as a poisoning of consciousness, the toxic cocktail of deceit, disinformation, malevolence, under clandestine cyber attacks by Russian operatives continues to eat away at the fiber of our freedom and democracy today. The election of 2016 died from poisoning, but the toxins continue to spread as the 2018 midterm elections and 2020 elections are at risk. And so this was what was written, and I had to add, this has become manifest. The election came, the most highly scrutinized election of all time. Votes were counted and recounted. Everything was examined. There were poll watchers from both parties. Everything was scrutinized. It was televised. And yet, the consciousness of misinformation and disinformation is just a raging battle with the truth. This is a battle of light or enlightenment and darkness, which is ignorance, and even worse, ignorance. The people are the people who are believing and standing by the misinformation are victims. So when you're ready to jump all over somebody, they are victims, but they are partially victims of the misinformation and disinformation, and they are partially victims of willingness. They're victims of their own selves because they swallow the stuff without reading the label. Read the label before you take something in. Get your facts before you stand up and declare something is true. You know, the truth is already in our heart and soul. It's already there. We know the truth, but if we let our lower consciousness override it, and believe me, there have been many times in my own life I have let my lower conscious override my true knowing because I wanted to. The same way as Eve wanted that piece of fruit. That is the metaphysics of it. Eve is a part of our lower emotions, our human wants. Adam represents our thinking nature influenced by our emotions. She brought him the apple. Wasn't an apple, by the way, just the fruit. The fruit is the outcome of the seed. Keep that thing. You know, the more you delve into things metaphysically, the more exciting it gets. And the more truth you see, rather than somebody just telling you, well, that's the way it is. That's why I can't tell you everything. I can call you out to go and check for yourself. And if we don't check for ourselves, we're going to have to accept the consequences of not doing so. One type of participation would be believing the propaganda without question or research. We would have played a part if we did not vote because we were upset or overwhelmed. Russians can only manipulate us if we let them. It was a no-brainer for them. An inconvenient truth is we are either a part of the problem or a part of the solution. If you are starting to feel pangs of anger at me, that's okay. It's not personal. It's principle. And once we stop letting our emotions drive this train that's so far off track, once we look at the causes and effects and facts, and we can rise above this nightmare. If you feel you're being accused, stop. If you are feeling guilty because you fell victim to the propaganda, stop. None of this will undo the past. What we can do is act differently in the future. But it's not just about the elections. It's about every decision we make in all of our life. So I'm not saying all these metaphysics I'm teaching you are only about politics. It's about how we marry, how we live, how we prosper, our health, our quality of relationship, our peace of mind or our stress. It's all connected. All things are connected. Albert Einstein pointed out we cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. If misinformation and disinformation and our laziness and narcissism that prevented us from putting ourselves into the required work, inconvenient and uncomfortable, to get past it, we're just going to continue with more of the stuff. We have to learn. We have to investigate. We have to stand on our truth. Okay. Within us, we have the courage to change. She's being very naughty today. It must be in the air because I listened to this one lady on in the afternoon. Her name is Elizabeth McLaughlin, and she does a wonderful piece called "The Resistance." And her son was just making so much noise all through her presentation today. It was like, somebody shut that kid up. All right. Okay. What do? We do the same things in a different way. Within us, we must have the courage to change. There's another consideration. We now have a crisis even bigger than the opioid epidemic. By the way, on the news today, they talked about the problems with opioid addiction and drugs in general has skyrocketed in this because people are so stressed out and hopeless and apathetic. They want to escape. My dear friends, there is no escape. The only way to get past it is to go through it. Whatever we have to go through, know that you will be given all the faith and all the strength you need to do that which is to be done by you. Every day, learn, live, and share spiritual principle. Our crisis right now is consciousness, and there is no quick and easy answer. Now, the Apostle Paul, I believe, did say, you shall be changed in the twinkling of an eye. And we can. What keeps us from being changed in the twinkling of an eye? The fact that we allow ourselves to be subject to our human nature. We don't want to. We cannot be people pleasers. We are not here to be people pleasers. We are here to be co-creators with divine, with the divine, with divine mind, with spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. The answer is guaranteed to work. The answer is faith and hope and truth, and it's found in the upper quadrants of consciousness. Now, there's something that is not in this because I was not aware of it then. And that is, which I brought up a little bit in the past, cognitive dissonance. There is a huge disparity between more than one truth we hold at the same time. But because people tend to be a little more leaning to self and not wanting to do the work, laziness and narcissism, it's too much work to do this, so they take the easy way. So whatever appears to be the easy way for the people, that is the way they take. Now, it is called, one of the problems is we are working with malignant narcissism. Look it up, my friends. Don't count on me to do your homework for you. That's another thing. Nobody's going to do your homework for you. I can sit here, I can entertain you and sing and dance and everything else, but it's not going to do your work for you. And I work hard on this. It took blood, sweat, and tears for years to put these teachings that I have embraced and lived for years and put it in a way that I can put it in your hands and hopefully in your mind and in your heart, and you put it to the test. This is what I've done. I'm giving you this for you, not just for me, but it is for me because I'm a part of the whole too. And I want our world to be saved. I want our planet to be saved. I want peace and love and safety and security. I want to be the United States of America. I want the soul of America to be redeemed, to be saved. Not by anyone winning. It's not about winning. It's coming into the light of truth. There is no winning or losing in truth. Truth is. It just is. Beware of the cult of personality. And just so you know, you're not going to change anybody's mind by calling them out, telling them how wrong they are. They're only going to back off. It'd be like shining a 200-watt light in their eyes. They'll just cover their eyes and back off. We have to learn on our own. What can we do? Pray and meditate, keep our own consciousness up. And we can pray. We can pray for their salvation. We can pray for their awakening. We can pray for our own selves, for our strength and our faith to be multiplied. And that one day we will live in a better world. And then that one day when we leave this experience, we will hear the words I long to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant. And that's what my life is about. Whew. Well, that was an interesting journey. So tomorrow we continue, and I pray that you will join me. And in the meantime, God bless you and have a bright and beautiful, better than average day every day.